What's up, everyone? Alex Boylan here with Dream Jobbing. Very excited to do a Dream Jobbing with Jodi Wincheski. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right. So Jodi has an awesome career. She's been living her dream career in the casting world, and I figured let's dive into figuring out how she got here and learn about this job and her career, and hopefully give you guys some tips and tricks on potentially, if this is the business you want to get into, how to get into it and how to be successful at it. So Jodi works on shows like Survivor, Amazing Race, tons of other different shows, and her way into this business is a little different. So, all right, ready to get started?
I am.
So let's start with, what was your first experience, let's say, where it came out, when did casting even come to become a thing? Did you go to college for it? Were you?
Yeah, no. So I went to college for business, and I was a business major, and I had to do an internship. And so I did an internship at this model and talent agency, which turned out to be pretty cool. It was scripted. So I was doing, models, and then they'll ask for different people in commercials, and they'd tell you a look, and I'd send in their pictures. And it's different than what I do now, but fun. And it went from a 1 semester internship to a year of working with this woman because she got pregnant, and she said, "Hey, will you run the agency for me?" So that was kind of.
So as you're on your internship, you turned into running the agency.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
normal story for anybody.
Yeah. It was a smaller agency in San Diego, but awesome experience, a great learning experience, and kind of gave me that little taste for I like this. It's cool.
What did you like about it?
I guess you just meet tons of different people. You're helping them in their careers. It's a fun business in general, being on set and seeing all the different things that you're getting to work with and all the different people that you're getting to meet. So I liked it.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So walk us through from that moment. Okay, cool. I got a taste of casting, right? Got a taste of this world to turning into a full-fledged career. Typically, those things don't happen overnight, right?
No, and it kind of just left my mind a little bit. I finished college. I had to go back. I dropped out of college, for a year to do that.
Wow.
So, but she was pregnant, you had to help out. So I dropped out of college. I went back to college. I finished that. Life happened. I became a flight attendant. I moved around a little bit. I did some different things. And then I had an obsession with The Amazing Race. And so I applied for The Amazing Race. I got on the show, which was super cool.
Yeah.
And
we're fellow racers. I'm an old grandfather from The Amazing Race as well.
Yeah, it's the best experience ever, right?
Yeah.
And so after that, Lynn Spillman, who she came to me, she had cast me, and then she came and said, "Hey, do you want to cast for us?" And I'm like, "Sure, what's that?" What do you want me to do? And she knew that I was flying, so I was kind of all over the country doing things, and she said, "I just need you to find me these people." And she kind of gave me descriptions, general descriptions. "I'd love to find this, this, this." I'm like, okay. And so 2 weeks, it was a 2-week gig. That's it. And I'm like, okay, I can do this part-time with my other job for 2 weeks. And I went and found all these people. And then after 2 weeks, she's like, "I love them. Where'd you find them? Do you want to keep doing this?" And so I said, yes. And it kind of went from part-time that kept lasting to full-time, to where I was working on Survivor, then I was working on Amazing Race, and then, whatever else came her way, she'd be like, "Hey, can you find this and that?" And I was living in Texas, and then I'd commute back to LA when I needed to. And I did that for many years, and then finally moved here a couple years ago. But I think the coolest part of the job was when it went from casting to the travel side. And so I got to take all the survivors as they were voted out, the first little group that's not on the jury. I got to take them on vacations to many different countries and just travel around the country.
So in casting, it sounds like besides finding these people, right, and then doing the pitching internally or externally to get them actually on the show, there's other jobs, right? So
yeah,
was that so? Dealing with the people when they got kicked off one of these shows and taking them on vacations and keeping them together separate from the game, is that part of the casting's responsibility?
No, it's a handler. I can definitely handler. And so I just kind of made it known that I like to travel. I have travel experience. I'd really like to be on location. I had a lot of interaction with these people already, so I knew the cast. And so I'm like, hey, I want to do this if it comes open. And so then I would get to take them out. Travel through countries, introduce them to really cool experiences that they might never have a chance.
That's awesome. So what is the best part, would you say? Is it the travel? Is it the meeting the people? What's the best job? What's the best part of casting as a job?
Yeah, as a job of casting, I think it's being able to help people live out dreams, you have a big hand in letting people experience something really amazing, and like it changes their lives. And you know, sometimes it's the money that changes their lives, sometimes it's the experience that changes their lives. But there's definitely a change no matter what. So it's cool to be a part of that.
Yeah, it's awesome. What do you don't like? What do you hate? What part of the business sucks?
It's really, really rough to have to tell people no, and we tell people no a lot more than we tell people yes. So, and it's even harder when you see somebody that you love. You know they're great, because I got to get to know them. So I got to like work with them, and for some reason, when it all comes down, after they put in a ton of effort, made videos, filled out applications, done 127 pages of background, been on the phone with me, got notes from their doctors or whoever else they had to get notes from, then go through a week of finals and no.
Oh man,
They don't make
devastating.
it. Yeah, it's tough.
What's it like a
Lots
day
of
in the
tears.
life like when you're casting people? Do you get to work from home? Do you have to go into an office? Like how does
Both, yeah. Most of the time, I'd say most casting people go into an office. Sometimes you get to work from home, depending on your show and how long you've been there and if your boss is cool. But yeah, so most of the time you go into an office. With Survivor, we have a pretty good database of people. So we get to go through all the submission tapes. So we watch video after video after video. There's also been times where I've just found people. So then we go through and search social media, like hit up our friends. Who do you know? I'll think if I need a pro athlete, what pro athletes do I know, and what friends can they give me, And so you do it that way. There's a lot of phone calls, a lot of just talking to people, because people can make amazing tapes, but it could have taken them forever to get there.
Right.
And so then you have to talk to them on the phone. We do all their background, it's pretty full day with lots of variety.
So from a scheduling standpoint, is this a type of, do you get to keep a regular schedule, like a 9 to 5, or are you kind of always working?
Kind of, like, it's funny, the entertainment business isn't really 9 to 5 ever. It's like more like 10 to 6 or 11 to 7 or 10:30. It's later than most people for some reason. And then it depends on where you're working, what they prefer their hours to be. Survivor, we're flexible. Like, I can go in at 8 if I want to. I can go at 10 if I want to, and I just put in the hours.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah. But I've been there a long time.
She paid her dues.
Yeah.
So, thinking about this, a lot of this series is about, inspiring and educating younger people on,
Right.
What does the job entail, and then how do I get in there? So, if you were looking back at yourself, 10 years ago, or if you're talking to a college student right now, or what would your advice be to them if they're trying to break in? If they're like, cool, I want to get into casting, not a ton of casting jobs, it's a tough one to break into.
Yeah.
How do they do it? Or what would be your advice for them to do it?
My advice would be network. Like, meet everybody you can, and take the worst job you can get. Just take any job. If there's a job there, even if it's getting everybody coffee and taking papers from one office to the other, take the job. Because once you get in, if you do a good job and you're easy to be around and you're like on top of it, then they'll hire you to do something else. But you kind of have to take whatever you can to get in there. Get an internship. Like, there's a lot of internships in the TV realm that might help. But I would say networking's huge. You can start as a PA. That's probably, the lower, it's the get the coffee, get the papers, do whatever needs to be done type of a job. Those would be, the best, find people that you know. I mean, we don't always, like, I don't have power to just hire people because we don't have space. We don't turn over,
Right.
Here and there, I can get people in for PAs.
Right.
Yes,
So, question on the networking, right? Because
Yeah.
it's such a common thing, right? We hear all the time, network, right? Network.
Right.
Now, when you're older, like, and I think back and like I don't even know what advice I would give to myself. So I'm curious of your advice.
Right.
Because when you're young and you don't know anybody, how do you network? So how would you start getting, and just any tips and tricks for like, okay, I'm just starting off. I just moved to LA. I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
How do I begin that networking process? Or what's a couple tips for them?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was get an internship. That works. I mean, just like when you go to whatever party or whatever friend, it's LA. Somebody's in the business, right?
So
like,
is it if you get to LA, if you want to be in casting?
There's
Is it
certain
LA or
places
New York, or is that,
that's the best.
Yeah.
There is casting other places, and
But if you want to be in the game, you got to come to LA or New York. We talk about this a lot with different people. It's like the entertainment business. Yes, there's jobs all over the place, but if there's certain jobs, for sure, you got to come. if you want to play, you got to come to LA. Or if you want to do this, you've got to go to New York.
I think if in a long-term career, yes, could you probably get your foot in the door where you live? Maybe. Because I'll see like, oh, there's Facebook groups. There's like different types of groups. You know, there's I need a casting director. You can go there and it might be like, hey, I need a PA in Atlanta. Or anybody in Atlanta can look for this or that. So there are things that can happen in different states. And maybe that gets you in, and there's definitely production going on. There's a lot of production going on in Atlanta, actually.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot of different things that you could get in maybe as a PA or something like that.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Dream jobbing with Jodi Wincheski. Appreciate it. Good to see you.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys soon.
Bye.
Cheers, everyone. Awesome.